Okay, so here we have the football players all cropped out. I've used a layer mask with the brush to get rid of unwanted background in this image. So now I'm going to resize it. So remember that's Control T to transform. Hold the Shift key and drag from the corner to make it smaller. Now you're going to have to consider with both of these pictures how it's cut off at the edge. Now I don't think you probably want to try and draw the rest of his leg and foot. That'd be a little complicated. So you could think about either having them come in from this side so that that missing information makes sense, or maybe putting an object in front of them that it looks like they're coming out from behind of, which would work nicely too. So whatever you decide to do, remember if they're closer to you, like down here in the foreground, they could be larger, because this makes it look like they're kind of right in front of the camera. But if you do want to put them up a little higher on the ground, look how far away that looks from you, the viewer. Just because of how wide this driveway is, they're not going to look this big. So back there, they're going to be much smaller. Okay, so keep that in mind when you think of where you're going to place them, just how big they're going to be. And also, if I put them here, okay, they don't really need a shadow. The shadow would be underneath of them. But if I put them back here, then they are going to need a shadow. So let's review that real quick. And I'll plan to put an object here in front of them. To make a shadow, remember you first need to make a copy of the layer. And then hold the Control key and click in here to get them selected. And then you're going to make sure black is on top and go Alt Backspace. That will fill them in with black. Control D will deselect. Control T for transform. And we're going to pull this shadow down. And I'm going to pull it up to make sure it meets with their feet there. Okay, and you know, the shadows don't have to be straight down. It looks like the light is coming a little bit more from over here actually. And so I'm going to use this free transform tool. I'm going to pull this up right now so I can see it. Free transform allows me to edit a little more specifically. So you just grab different points and you can kind of drag the image. So my goal here is just to make the shadow more slanted this way. Hit enter, and that works. So make sure I still get their feet lined up. Okay, and then you pull that shadow layer behind them. Now remember you need to label your layers. So this is the football players, and this is the football shadow. Okay, then with the shadow, we want to lower the opacity. Now, because the sun isn't so directly right behind them, I don't think the shadows would be quite as dark as they were with our couple on a beach, so I'll go lighter with that. And then, remember we want to add the filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and then just whatever we think would be appropriate filter for that. Maybe about there. Okay, so now they have their shadow, and I'm going to have to add something in here. You should add in at least 2 or 3 more objects. Think about the size and the scale. Think about making it look naturalistic. You know, things like how big they are and cut off legs and things like that. This is an example from a student from last year. So you can see she had them coming in off the edge. She put them up a little higher so they're smaller. She's got the shadow here. All of her shadows kind of fall to the bottom and the right. She's got the car with the shadow underneath, the dog. Okay, she added a blimp up in the sky. And then you're also going to need to add a title again, as you did before. So we'll go over these objectives real quick. So you're going to copy, paste, and place photos on the background. So just like we just did with the football player. And you need to find some more, which you can use those dogs, but you need to find some of your own too. Removal of unwanted roadkill using cloning tools. Get rid of that raccoon right away. Use of masking to hide unwanted information in a photograph. Masking was where we came in and added a layer mask, right here. So when you add the layer mask and then you use the brush to get rid of the extra background, that's what masking is. Use of transformational tools on two or more objects to alter the size or direction of objects. Okay, and that's what I just did with the shadow. Control T is the transform. I pulled it down so it's kind of reflecting them, and then I even used that extra transform to kind of pull it so it's slanted a little bit. Renaming layers. Name each separate layer with a descriptive title. So like you saw me do with the football players and the football shadow. Use of lettering and a layer style applied to this lettering. So remember, the layer style is, so say I put Baldy up here, the effects here, the FX, these are lettering layer styles. So it'd be a stroke, a bevel emboss, outer glow, or multiple, whatever you want to do there. Okay. Add a drop shadow, and that means that every object that you put in, including the players, should have an appropriate shadow. So they should look like they're really in the picture there. And then save to the hand-in folder like we went over before. You'll turn in your completed assignment and then also turn in this sheet for grading, which is in your binder.